This is one of our favorite warm-up exercises or introductory exercises for scapular winging in malposition. The key here is I'm fully turning out or externally rotating with this loop band. Elbows stay locked out, shoulders down and back, and then I'm pulsing backwards. Now I'm not just pulsing with my arms. I'm pulsing by squeezing my shoulder blades and tilting my shoulder blades back and down just like this as I do the exercise. So what moves the shoulder blade in this case is my lower trap muscle on my back, not my deltoids in the shoulder. That's going to help to pull that shoulder into position. Now the other key here is I'm actually flexed forward. And when I flex forward like that, it takes out the ability to compensate through lumbothoracic extension, where I get the arms overhead through the low back as opposed to through the scapula. So the idea with any sort of these exercises we're going to go through today is to teach the scapula to move differently on the rib cage. Let's go through a little bit of what scapular malposition or scapular dyskinesia is, and then get into a couple more exercises. So for the sake of argument, the scapula can move in any different direction, any plane of motion. I'm using this aqua ball just kind of replicate the rib cage. And the shoulder blade sits on that rib cage kind of like so. However, that winging is actually a tilting this way of the shoulder blade, so that bottom angle, that inferior angle peeling up, this shoulder blade internally rotating, so rotating internally this way. And then at the same time, we can have a combination of elevation with that or depression and peeling off with that as well. Typically, those two motions are the primary two motions that we need to learn to control our shoulder blade. So if you're not able to secure your scapula into the correct positions while you try to move your arm in a ballistic fashion, you're going to lose velocity. And that requires that we pin this shoulder blade down, we pin the inside of the shoulder blade, that medial border in here, down to the rib cage, and then at the same time we allow it to have that full abduction or protraction out and around, full upward rotation this way to seat the shoulder where it needs to be seated as your arm circumducts out and around the rib cage when you actually throw the baseball. So let's go into a couple more variations of exercises you can start today to start to rehab your scapular positioning. I'm going to give you guys 3 different exercises to work on your scapular positioning. Now keep in mind this is relevant to the overhead athlete, but if you don't play baseball or you don't throw a ball, you can still do these exercises and get great benefit out of them. The first one is actually a TRX or suspension strap eccentric Y. The reason why we like this is because you can pre-position your shoulder blade in a more efficient position. So in this case, I don't have any resistance. I can lock my ribs down so I don't extend here. I lock my ribs in this way. I keep my body like a plank. There's no resistance on the strap yet. Shoulder blades down and back, squeeze together, and then thinking about that tilt of the shoulder blade without getting any tilt through my lumbar spine. So I maximize that tilt. I walk my feet in just a little bit, and then I just slowly keep those shoulders down, slowly come down and in. Pull myself up. Shoulders down and back, control, 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 boom. Now, we love that because you can pre-position in the more efficient position. This is huge for helping with your posture. One of the common flaws that we see with this is that people either shrug, drop down this way, or what they tend to do is as they come down, they kind of bring the arms down and then together, which is going to be an okay exercise, but I want to see that diagonal path of the arms. We'll program this with anywhere from 8 to 20 reps. You're not going to feel super sore when you do it, but the next day, 2 days later, you're going to get that DOMS, that delayed onset muscle soreness. Great exercise. We take that, we progress it into a little bit of a serratus variation where we're trying to get full protraction. So the muscle now underneath the shoulder blade, we want it to secure that shoulder blade down to the rib cage. So in this case, I'm going to go out into a full lunge stance. I want to incorporate rotation of the chest because we know that the shoulder blade sits on the rib cage. The rib cage is dynamic. The ribs have to be able to move as I rotate, and I have to be able to control my scapular positioning as my ribs rotate. So now I'm going to go into a long lunge. Knee over ankle. Back hip extended, core locked in. I got one hand behind me holding a band, one hand in front of me at the chest level. I'm going to twist as far as I possibly can. Punch as far as I possibly can. Reach, reach, reach. Come back. I like a little hold isometric. Once again, this band is helping me rotate, but this band is resisting the rotation plus the protraction. Now the key with this is this arm, it's not just doing this. It's punching, then giving that push-up plus, that extra punch with no shrug. So I see people go here with the shrug, shoulder stays down, think of it as an up and under. Like halfway between a straight punch and an uppercut, it's like an up and under reach as far as you can. I'm gonna show one rep on the other side. The attachment point is low, but it's about even with my hips as far as the direction. Little isometric hold, you can build that up to 10 seconds at the end of that exercise. All right, let's go into our next variation. One of the things we love to do is some variation of a row. So we like a chest supported row. It's an awesome variation, especially if you really want to overload all of the posterior musculature. You could also use a closed kinetic chain row with like a TRX row with good scapular positioning, or a cable row of some sort. The other variation we really like, and the reason I'm going to show you guys this, is because it's going to teach you how to control your spine position a little bit as you secure that medial border. So we're talking about the rhomboids and the mid traps at this point in time, and that's kind of the external rotation aspect of the scapula that we talked about earlier, not so much the bottom corner of the scapula, the inferior angle winging, but right here I shrug the shoulders down and back. Palms can go forward this way if you want to hold your band there. If you have a little bit more winging at the bottom of your shoulder blade, you're going to go palms up, shoulders stay down, pulling into a T, lock your core. There's no compensations in this tall kneeling position, that's why we prefer it. Once again, slight isometric hold, shoulders stay down, pull the shoulders back together and down, squeeze the glutes in this position, let it come in. Now at the very least, this is a primer warm-up that can be progressed to a lunge, which is actually slightly easier than the tall kneeling variation. Reps and sets are not so important. You want to use enough reps to fatigue the tissue, but not so many that you compensate elsewhere. Because if you start compensating and you're shrugging and your scapula is tilting forward again, counterproductive. So find a number of reps that you can do with proper technique and then increase the resistance and the repetitions over time. If you guys like this video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and we're gonna see you in the next one.